Imagine a land where powerful kings and queens shaped the history of nations, where battles were fought not just on the ground, but in the hearts and minds of the people. This is the history of England, a history so rich, so complex, it will send shivers down your spine. What does it take to survive over 1500 years of war, chaos, and transformation? What was lost and what was gained? Let's step back in time and uncover the journey of kingdom that changed the world. To understand England, we must first go back to the beginning. Nearly 2000 years ago, in the 1st century AD, the Romans arrived, bringing with them the strength of an empire. They built roads, forts, and Hadrian's Fall, marking the edge of the world they knew. But when the Romans left, the island was thrust into an era of uncertainty, where the local tribes were left to fend for themselves. This opened the door for waves of invaders, the Saxons, the Vikings, each leaving their mark on the land and on the people. Imagine waking up one morning to the sound of longboats hitting the shore. Viking raids, the brutality, the chaos struck fear into the hearts of English people. But in this turmoil, something incredible happened. The Anglo-Saxon began to unify, forming the foundations of a kingdom that would one day rule the world. Enter Alfred the Great, a king who fought, preserved his people, and created a new era of peace and prosperity. But as we will soon see, even a king as great as Alfred could not stop the tides of history from rolling in. Hold on. Because just as England seemed to stabilize, the greatest challenge was yet to come in invasions that would change everything. In 1066, the world was about to witness one of the most significant battles in history, the Battle of Hastings, a battle that would forever alter England's future. Who would win? The Saxons, led by King Harold, or Normans, led by Duke William? The outcome would shift the course of English history forever. After Harold fell in fateful battlefield, England was thrust into Norman rule. William the Conqueror wasn't just a king, he was a force of nature. His impact monumental. Suddenly, everything changed. The English language itself was transformed as French-speaking Normans took control of the land. Castle rose, feudalism took hold, a new dynasty was born. But William's conquest wasn't just about control, it was about leaving a legacy. The Domesday Book, a record of every person a piece of land in England, was written to make sure his empire would last. But this every new reign comes rebellion. The English were not content to be ruled by a foreign power. The seeds of future rebellions were sown, and the throne was anything but secure. The centuries that followed were a mixture of hope and despair. The Hundred Years' War, a deadly conflict with France, one that saw iconic figures like Joan of Arc rise. But amid the victories, England was tortured by its own internal struggles. And then came the Black Death, devastating the population. England lost nearly a third of its people. The fear was visible. The shock of such an event shaped the psyche of generation. How could a kingdom survive after such a catastrophe? Was it the end of monarchy as we knew it? But the English, ever resilient, fought on. But just when it seemed England had hit rock bottom, a new king arrived in the scene, Henry the Eighth King. His desires were so grand that could not be continued in a single life or even a single marriage. Think you know this story, think again, because this king's actions would send ripples that still echo through history today. But from Henry's wild reign came a new series of kings, each with their own desires, each pushing the limits of power. Charles, I try to push too far. The English Civil War, brother turned against brother, a nation torn apart. Would England ever truly be at peace? Was monarchy truly the way forward, or was it destined to fail? Although the levelers' ideas were very progressive for the time, they faced fierce resistance from the leaders of the parliament and the army. Many of these leaders, like Oliver Cromwell, were not willing to go as far as the levelers in terms of political reforms. In fact, Cromwell, who led Parliament's forces to victory in the Civil War, soon turned against the levelers. In 1649, after the execution of King Charles, the levelers thought they might have a chance to implement their ideas, but instead Cromwell and his supporters began cracking down on them. In 1649, after a rebellion led by the levelers in Cromwell's army brutally suppressed the uprising, killing many of the levelers' leaders. While the levelers' movement was ultimately crushed, their ideas lived on. They laid the groundwork for modern democratic movement and ideas that would flourish in later centuries. Many of their demands, such as universal suffrage and equality before the law, were eventually realized in the later stages of England's political development. The levelers are not as well known as some other figures in English history. Their visions of more egalitarian society and their fight for democracy was vital part of England's evolution towards the system of government we know today. What makes this story untold is how the levelers were not celebrated in their own time and how their ridiculous ideas have been largely overshadowed by the more familiar tale of the English Civil War and Cromwell's actions. The levelers' struggle for a truly democratic England is often omitted from mainstream historical narratives. Despite its lasting impact on English political thought, their visions of government by the people for the people is a precursor to the democratic ideal that would later shape modern English. For the people is a precursor to the democratic ideas that would later shape modern England. The levelers' push for universal suffrage and political equality resonates with the struggle for democracy and civil rights throughout history, from American Revolution to suffragist movement and beyond. Though they were defeated, their ideas were truly ahead of their time, and their influence can still be seen today in the democratic system of government that many nations, including England, follow. From ancient Roman road to the reigns of Queen Elizabeth II, England has undergone a transformation like no other nation. The monarchy that once ruled with absolute power now sits at the head of a democratic country, a nation that inspired revolutions, industrial revolutions, and technological advances. The echoes of history still shape modern day England, where past and present collide. But in the shadows of England's history, there are still untold stories, hidden figures, and mysterious waiting to be uncovered. What will the future hold for this island nation? Are we seeing the end of story or merely the beginning of a new chapter? Stay tuned because England's story is not over yet. Enjoy this journey through time. Like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to continue exploring history with us. And remember, history is not just a and remember, history is not just in the past. It is written every day. See you in the next video.
Bye
Bye bye.
bye.